Long ago, in the land of Persia, a powerful king ruled over many nations. His word could save lives or destroy them. But behind the palace walls, God was working quietly. He chose a young woman, orphaned, unknown, and far from powerful, to help rescue her people. Her name was Esther. King Xerxes ruled over 127 provinces, from India to Kush. His riches filled the kingdom, and his pride filled his heart. At one grand feast, he called for his queen, Vashti, to appear before his guests. But she refused to come. King Xerxes was furious. Because Queen Vashti disobeyed him, she lost her royal position. And so, across the empire, a search began for a new queen. Among those living in Susa was Mordecai, from the tribe of Benjamin. He had raised his cousin, Hadassah, called Esther, for she had no father or mother.
Do not tell anyone you are Jewish, my daughter. Keep it hidden.
Esther was taken into the palace, one of many young women brought before the king. But there was something different about her, not just beauty, but kindness, humility, and grace. And when Xerxes saw her, she found favor in his eyes. He placed the royal crown upon her head, and Esther became Queen of Persia. In time, a man named Haman rose to power, second only to the king himself. All were ordered to bow before him, but Mordecai refused, for he would bow to no one but God.
Who is this man, this nobody, who dares to defy me? Does he not know who I am?
When he learned Mordecai was Jewish, Haman's pride turned to hatred. He plotted not just against Mordecai, but against all of God's people. Haman came to the king with a warning. He spoke of a people who lived across the empire, different, set apart, following their own laws instead of the king's. Haman claimed they were a threat to the kingdom and said they should be destroyed. And so the king gave his signet ring to Haman, and the decree went out that on a set day, every Jew, man, woman, and child would be destroyed. The city was thrown into confusion. Mordecai tore his clothes, covered himself with ashes, and wept at the palace gate. When Queen Esther learned of Mordecai's grief, she was deeply upset. She sent him clean clothes to wear instead of sackcloth, but he refused them.
Go to Mordecai at the city gate. Find out what's wrong and why he's mourning.
Through Hathach, Mordecai told Esther everything about Haman's plan, the king's order, and the money promised for the Jews' destruction.
Tell Mordecai this. The law is clear. Anyone who approaches the king without a summons will not live, unless he shows mercy. And it's been 30 days since he last called for me.
Tell Esther this. Don't imagine the palace will keep you safe. If she stays silent now, help for our people will come from elsewhere, and she and her father's house will perish. Who can say? Perhaps she was made queen for such a time as this.
The message reached Esther, a call to speak and to risk everything. The fate of her people rested on her courage. Then Esther sent this reply to Mordecai.
Gather all the Jews in Susa. Fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days and nights. My maids and I will do the same. Then I will go to the king, and if I perish, I perish.
On the third day, Esther dressed in royal robes and stepped into the inner court, heart steady, purpose clear.
What is it that troubles you, Queen Esther? Speak freely. Even half the kingdom shall be yours.
If it pleases the king, let both you and Haman join me today for a banquet I've prepared in your honor.
Let Haman be summoned without delay, that we may fulfill the will of Queen Esther.
The banquet began. Cups were filled, and laughter echoed. The king looked to Esther. What is your request? But she waited, calm and wise. She invited him and Haman again to a second banquet. The time to speak had not yet come. Haman left the banquet proud and smiling, boasting to all who would listen about his power, his riches, and the queen's favor.
I alone was invited to dine with the queen, just the king and me.
But when he saw Mordecai at the gate, refusing to bow, Haman was filled with rage. That night, Haman met with his wife, Zeresh, and his friends. "None of this matters while Mordecai sits at the gate," he said. Zeresh spoke coldly. "Build a gallows to end Mordecai." That very night, the gallows was made. That same night, the king couldn't sleep, so he asked for the royal records to be read to him. There, he heard the name Mordecai, the man who had once saved the king's life.
What honor was ever given to Mordecai for saving my life?
"Nothing has been done for him," the officials replied. At that very moment, Haman entered the outer court.
Bring whoever is waiting in the court before me. What should be done for the man the king wants to honor?
Now Haman, full of pride, thinks to himself, "Who else would the king want to honor more than me?" Confident, he answers,
Here's what should be done. Let the man wear a royal robe the king himself has worn. Let him ride a horse the king has ridden, one with the royal crest on its head, and have one of the king's top officials lead him through the city streets, shouting, "This is what is done for the man the king wants to honor."
Now hurry, take the robe and the horse just as you've described, and do all of this for Mordecai the Jew who sits at the palace gate. Make sure you don't leave out a single detail.
So Haman took the robe and the horse. He dressed Mordecai in the royal garments and led him through the city square, shouting for all to hear, "This is what is done for the man the king desires to honor."
The king made me honor Mordecai. I dressed him in the royal robe, put him on the king's horse, and led him through the city, calling out his praise.
Mordecai, he's a Jew, isn't he? If he is Jewish, and you've already begun to fall before him, you won't overcome him. Your downfall has started.
Queen Esther, we're here again at your request. Tell me, what is it you truly want? Whatever it is, even up to half my kingdom, it's yours.
My king, if I have found favor in your eyes, and if it pleases you, then spare my life and spare my people.
Your life, your people, who would dare threaten you?
A vile enemy, an oppressor, this man, Haman.
Your Majesty, there is a gallows, 75 feet tall, standing by Haman's house. He built it for Mordecai, the very man who saved your life.
Then use the device he made for another, on him.
After Haman's downfall, the king gave Mordecai his signet ring, the symbol of royal authority. Mordecai was now second in power to the king himself. Using this power, Mordecai wrote a new law. The Jews could defend themselves against their enemies. On the 13th day of the 12th month, the day set by Haman, the enemies of the Jews attacked. But the Jews stood united and struck back. In Susa and across the provinces, they triumphed. Even Haman's sons were brought to justice.
Let the Jews of Susa defend themselves one more day, and let the 10 sons of Haman be displayed as a warning.
Your request is just. Let it be carried out without delay. It shall be done.
The Jews in Susa rose again the next day, and with the king's permission, they struck down those who still threatened them. 75 more fell, and then the city was quiet. To remember their great deliverance, Esther and Mordecai established the Feast of Purim, a yearly celebration of joy, unity, and God's providence. Esther was placed in the palace for a purpose. Mordecai spoke up for his people. This is not just history, it's a reminder. You too were made for such a time as this.